Okay, so I know this is going to be recorded. I can't just sit here and wait for people to show up. But basically, I wanted to first, apologize for abandoning the channel. I know a lot of you really believe in this cause, and so to abandon it would be a disservice to all of us. But at the same time, I've had a horrible past 7 years, and there were more downs than ups. And so I dealt with a lot of personal problems like gaining weight, depression, um, just problems. I had so many problems, and I wasn't able to really produce videos because, first of all, this is a very touchy subject, and sometimes you don't really want to walk on eggshells like that. But this morning I woke up and I was like, I have to do this. I have to say something because it's been 6 years. It's been 7 years actually. We started this channel in 2013. And since then, my sister and I have had different visions for the channel, and that's where it fell through. But her purpose for the channel was to make Afro Latino a thing. And that's what we accomplished. Um, I have to say we're the pioneers of the YouTube Afro Latinx movement, and because since that video posted, we just started seeing loads and loads and loads of more Afro Latinos coming out of the closet. And so now that it's a thing, 7 years later, what are we going to do with this thing? Are we going to fight for representation? And let me give you a little background. I'm pretty sure you maybe have seen the videos like the What Am I Afro Latino video. And my sister and I are talking about how, you know, being a first generation immigrant here in the United States from Garifuna descent, you're just automatically not expecting people to understand where you come from because you come from an obscure culture. The Garifuna people are less than 1% of the world's population, and we're transnational. So, not only that, but we're under the umbrella of Afro Latinos. And so, my purpose is to basically explain why this is so important. Not to me, because obviously, if I was, abandoning the channel, it wasn't about me. It's more about the future of the world. It's more about the future of Afro Latino children. It's about the future of any child of a person of color community who feels like they're not seen, who feels like they're not represented. Um, it's very important. We've all learned that representation is important. And in terms of the Afro Latinx movement, of course, that's what it's about. But it's also about doing what's right for our children. Um, so, anyway, I don't have kids, but I was a teacher, and I understand that kids are growing up in a very different world than what I grew up in. Um, Kids are growing up too fast, and I think they deserve better. And so let me just get started. Um, I I grew up getting denied from both sides of the coin. uh, you know, I'm Black. I always tell people, I'm Black, but, I come from a different culture, and nobody was able to really understand that. And that is because there's no representation of a Black Latino in the media. So my idea was to, inspire Univision and Telemundo to put us on, the map. But we're still not on the map 7 years later. That's a long time. And their denial and their complete ignoring of me shows more about who they are than it shows about who I am as a person. But anyway, like I was saying, there is denial about, there's even self-denial as a first generation immigrant. I wouldn't say for myself, but maybe for a lot of Afro-Latinos out there who came to the United States and uh, they felt obligated to assimilate to African American culture. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, I chose to just try to educate people about Afro Latinos instead of deny it, because it's a culture that is dear to me, and I'm not going to deny where I come from just to make other people comfortable. So there's a denial from African Americans. They would tell me, you're not Black. You're not Black. You are, I don't know what they would say, like just not Black. And then from Latinos, the mestizo Latinos, which are the lighter skinned Latinos, because Latino is not a race, the lighter skinned Latinos would they knew the secret of Latin America, which is their Black population. And if I would let them know that I'm actually part of that Black population, they would know, but they would deny. They would say, "Oh, there are no hay negros en mi país," or they would say, "No hay negros en Mexico," but there are Black people in Mexico. Like the census of Mexico in 2016, that was the first time they actually recognized them as a people. So it's been an interesting ride. It's an uphill battle, but I'm not gonna stop, because this isn't about me. This is about a bigger picture. This is about changing the world. I mean, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. I mean, a lot of people have laughed at me and said, you think you can change the world? I'm like, well, I can try. I mean, I don't like how it is right now. I really don't. I'm questioning whether I want to have kids, because first of all, I might die in the hospital, because, Black women die from childbirth more than any other race. And another reason is like, is this the world that I want my future children to live in? Especially coming from a background that is misunderstood and continues to be misunderstood, from people who look like me, from people who look like me but don't share my culture, which are African Americans, and from people who look like me, who share my culture, and who deny their Blackness. That happens a lot. A lot of Dominican people will say, no soy negro, yo no soy negro. They would say things like that. And so, but your skin is brown, it looks like, I've never denied Blackness. I actually love being Black, but it's like I'm trying to jump in, but I can't, because there's like a barrier there. There's a barrier of misunderstanding. And I'm just taking it in stride, I'm not angry about it, because it's not easy to explain something that someone doesn't know. And I'm not going to just come at you guys and be like, well, you're ignorant, you don't know this. Like, everybody's ignorant of something. I'm ignorant of what people eat in Fiji. So everybody's ignorant of something. And I don't mean ignorance in a pejorative or derogatory term. You know, ignorance is just simply darkness, no light, like not knowing. And so it's time to illuminate and teach people what is out there, because frankly, the United States is a bubble, and that's all I'll say about that. I'm not going to get too political. You know, I don't want to embarrass the people that I know, especially my mom, because she's going to look at this video. But I'm going to try to take it in stride, because it's been crazy. It's been a crazy 7 years. And I just think it's time to revive it. It's time to really, especially nowadays, you know, I had no idea that 2020 would be like this. Never in a million years would I imagine that this would be the year of a global pandemic. This would be the year of multiple murders against Black people in the United States. This would be the year of the Black Lives Matter movement. Yeah, I had no idea. And it's kind of like God just put things into place so that this could be a better platform. So this is the perfect time. Maybe those 7 years needed to happen. So I'm not really mad about that. I'm not going to come from a place of a victim, because that's not healthy for anyone. So anyway, racism is the cancer of Latin America for sure, because it's like Afro-Latinos are mestizos' neighbors in back home. We're your neighbors. And coming to America is like the land of opportunity, and anyone who infringes on my opportunities is automatically an enemy or a threat or something like that. So the experience of Afro-Latinos and Mestizo Latinos is just like the crabs in the barrel analogy, where, you know, crabs will try to push the bottom crabs down and not bring them up with them. And that's what's been happening. And it's just now coming out in the past 7 years, after years and centuries of Afro-Latinos existing since the slave trade. So, you know, it's heavy, because Afro-Latinos, like the African culture in Latin America is so strong, but it's also appropriated. African culture is appropriated in Latin America because salsa, merengue, bachata, mofongo, you know, all these African things are African. Reggaeton, from reggae, from African descendants. So you get my drift. So it's like, we're cool enough to be appropriated in Latin America, but we're not cool enough to be respected or represented or seen as human beings. Because, you know, I'll never forget this. I had like, this is all I'll say about it. Like, I had a Chicano X who was such a low class person that, you know, it's just one of those exes that you're like, this will never happen again. You know, I will never, like, I'm better than this, you know? But he called me a monkey one day. It just came out, you know? Someone who claimed to love me, claimed all this stuff, you know, he was just putting on a facade, you know? Like, want to be a total, like, degenerate, okay? He said that Jesus would call me a monkey, indirectly calling me a monkey. So at that moment, I was like, so this is how you feel. This is how you feel. And that says a lot about mestizo society. Yes, they call us monkeys. They call us negritos. They like if a light skinned mestizo comes and walks down the street, Black people are not gonna say blanquito or mestizo, hey mestizo, hey blanquito. No. But if a Black person in Latin America walks down the street, it's negrito, negrito, morenito, It's like subhuman. And that comes from Spain. It comes from the Latino caste system that exists. And I'm just exposing it because it should be known. So my notes say, yeah, there's a history of like a caste system within the Latin American community. The Spaniards came, they did their raping and killing. And, the Spaniard and then the indigenous would be called a mestizo. So there's a whole society of mestizos, people who are mixed with indigenous and European ancestry, some more indigenous than European and some more European than indigenous. But if you ask a mestizo, who are they? They say, I'm Spaniard. So it's kind of like reverse. There's a term for it in sociology. I forgot what it's called, but you know how, for example, if a white person in the United States, or a slave owner raped a slave, and I'm sorry that I'm talking about this so cavalier in such a cavalier way, but I'm just speaking objectively. If a white person has, made a child with a Black person, they're Black. The one drop rule. That's what I'm trying to talk about. The one drop rule. So there's the one drop rule in the United States for Blackness. It's as if Blackness is like a disease or something. That's how they treat Blackness. And it just like, that's how the one drop rule is for the whole world for being Black. It's not just Latin America. There are Black people all over the world. So for anyone to tell me you're not Black is so mind-boggling to me, because who are you to define Blackness? It's something that you have to just get out of the box about, because I know the United States has become, a superpower of the world, but at the same time, we have to have compassion for people of other cultures, because being a first generation immigrant, it was a unique experience. I have a different perspective. So what I'm trying to say is, there's no one way to be Black. There's just no one way. And Afro-Latinidad is one way to be Black and be Latino, because that's our culture too. And then the United States is a place of such competition and capitalism that it causes our mestizo brothers and sisters to be pitted against Afro-Latinos. And we're neighbors. We're like brother and sister. So it's a very sad thing. I have family friends that are mestizo and they're family. Like I'm getting emotional because, I have a family friend who's struggling with cancer, and it just puts things into perspective for me, because she grew up with us. Like, she was our babysitter when I was young. I'll never deny her. I'll never deny her as family. Like Latinidad is all about family. And the major purpose of Proyecto Más Color is to unify the Latino community, because we don't need to be fighting with each other. We don't need to be fighting for the spotlight like a bunch of crabs in a barrel. That's just not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the way it is at home. And it's just, I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird how things flip and change. when it comes to immigration. Because if you ask any mestizo Latino, you know, what would they want for their people would entail everybody except blacks, whether they're a Latino or not. Like, they don't want to embrace black people, whether they're Afro-Latino or not. And I'm not saying this is everyone. I know many Latinos love black people. I know many Latinos love black culture, but there's a lot of them that don't, that deny it, that are disgusted by it, and it needs to be known. And some of these people are the ones who produce productions for Univision and Telemundo. That's all I'm saying. They need to be exposed. Like, how could you not include a people that you appropriate from? That's my point. So anyway, what was I saying? I was just saying, like, it's a unification thing, this project. It's really not about me getting attention for being Afro-Latina. Like, so what? You know, who cares, right? But it's more than that. Because none of us asked to be born. None of us actually asked God, can you please make me of this race because I'll have a better chance at surviving my life? Like, have you ever thought about the existential lottery like that? When you come into this world, you're either rewarded or you're punished for the way that you look. That is so many levels of wrong that we really have to step back and question our purpose, our motive, and really question, did we really learn anything from Jesus? You know, he was an example for us, but I'm so like flabbergasted that we don't even follow what he does, what he did, like how he loved people. Because Jesus wouldn't hate anybody. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't understand. So anyway, I wrote these notes like to myself. I said, stay compassionate, don't get angry, stick to the point, and answer questions. So are there any questions? I guess not. You know, this is a touchy subject. I know, you know. I mean, I've had so many people reach out to me back in 2014, 2013 for interviews, and it's kind of like a hush-hush thing, but people are low-key following it. I don't understand. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like there's competition. There's even competition within the Afro-Latino community. It's like, who can be the next Afro-Latina star, you know? And that's not what I'm about at all. I'm actually just trying to educate because that's important. It's really important. If it weren't for that purpose, I wouldn't even be on this camera right now. So, well, I just want to say thank you, audience, for listening to me, hearing me out. It's been 24 minutes so far. This is going to be the first video that's going to start chapter 2 of Proyecto Más Color as an equality project. I'm not going to change the name, but I want the purpose to be known that this is about equality, whether you're anything, because we are not this body, actually. This whole reality is actually an illusion, and that's not a belief. You will one day you'll have an experience. One day you'll have an experience. Man, I was there last night in my dream. Like, I felt like I was actually in a different universe in my dream. Like, I have a lot of dreams like that where I feel like I went somewhere last night, you know? Our souls, our spirits are so much more than this body. Like our bodies are actually in our spirits. It's a lot of like spiritual stuff, but the commonality of every religion, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, what other religion, Taoist, is that we are not this body. So if you really believe in a higher power or a superpower or the Tao, which is everything, the universe, you know, you would apply that belief into a knowledge. Because when you don't know something, you believe it. It's like, yeah, I believe that. Oh, I believe so. But when you know something, you know it. So I just encourage you all to discover yourselves for who you are on the inside, not for who you are appearing to be. Because like I said, like nothing is what it seems. So thank you. You know, whether this succeeds or not, I really don't care, because we did fulfill a purpose 7 years ago, and that was to make Afro-Latino a thing. And it's a thing now. So what are we going to do with this thing? Thanks for watching.